Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to keep answering your questions. So I've got 3 more questions that I'm going to talk about in this video that I've heard from those of you that are watching. And I'm trying to focus on questions that are dealing with business. So as you write in your questions, appreciate those ones that are about how you can use English in business and grow your confidence. So 3 different questions today. I'll look at how to sound more confident with unexpected questions. Also, how to politely interrupt in a meeting. And finally, what to do if people speak too fast in English, something that happens a lot. If you're ready, let's go. Let's go to that first question. Let's dive in here. So this first question, how can I sound more confident when answering unexpected questions? Well, I think there's 3 big things you can do, and then I'll go into detail about these 3 things. So the first, make sure you understand the question. Super important. 2, pause and use a starter phrase. And number 3, after you answer that question, confirm that you answered their question. All right. So let me go into each of those a little bit. You really want to make sure you understand the question. It's a big part of everything, especially when English is not your native language, and maybe it's not the native language of others. Anytime you have a meeting or you give a presentation and somebody asks something unexpected in any language, it can make any of us nervous and worried because we didn't expect that question. So it's happened to me speaking English. And what I find is that sometimes our emotions get a little bit involved here. Maybe we get a little defensive. But first, just be calm and make sure you understand the question with something like, I just want to make sure that I understand what you asked. And then you can summarize and say, is your question that asking about this and this and this? And then you'll know they have a chance and they can say, well, no, it's not really about that, but it's about this other topic. And then you're on the right page right away. So it's super important just to take a minute when it's stressful to make sure that you really understand the question, because answering a question with answering the wrong question makes everybody even more frustrated, especially that person that asked. So make sure you understand what the real question was. And then once you have that good feeling about that, then just be calm. You've already been able to take a little extra time here. You ask somebody to clarify what this question is and make sure that you understand it. So you've had some time to think about this a little more. Well, you can add a little more time and pause and use some kind of starter phrase for this. And what I mean by a starter phrase is you have a little pause, you look them straight in the eye, and you say, that's a great question. And then you can begin your answer. Or here's some other really good starter phrases. From my perspective, I would look at A, B, and C. Or, let me think about that for a second. And then you can pause, take your time, be thoughtful about it. You don't win any bonus points by answering quickly. So that's a really good starter phrase right there. Another one is to pause and say, here's how I see it. And then you can go into whatever your explanation is. And another starter phrase could be, what comes to mind is, and then you give whatever your thoughts are on this topic. And it can be a really nice way to do this. If you're somewhat pressed for time or you want to give the conclusion to this question first, you could say something like, well, the short answer is yes. And let me explain. And go into some more detail about whatever that is. And so all of those where you pause and you add some type of starter phrase can be really, really helpful. It allows you to take a little extra time. The phrase is, let me buy some time here. The really common ones. That's a really good question. Well, that means I don't know what the answer is yet, but I'm buying time. Now I've got 10 seconds to think of a good answer to your good question. And we all do it, and we all do it in every language. So the last thing I talked about here was after you answer, confirm that you answered their question. And just take a minute and say, I just want to make sure that I addressed your question. Do you have? Did I do that? And give them that opportunity. You got surprised because of the question they asked, and so that's always a little bit stressful. You confirmed what the question was. You went into your answer about that, and then make sure that you answered their question. Give them an opportunity to say, well, you answered part of it, but I'm also interested in this. And plus, it might take the discussion into something more detailed or go into a different direction. So it's really nice to be able to confirm that you really did answer their question. All right? So give those a try, and I think you'll be able to deal with unexpected questions better. What I would say about unexpected questions is that anytime you've got some kind of stressful meeting or a presentation that's going to be followed with questions, take some time and prepare for possible questions. You've got a tool like ChatGPT, and you can say, hey, here's my presentation. Put the whole presentation in there and say, what could be some unexpected questions? And taking a little extra time to prepare for those things will put you in a much better position. Now you're prepared for your unprepared, for your unexpected question. It works really well. I've done it many times in trying to help people become really confident and prepared for their presentations, especially in English. All right, let's go to the next question. The next question was, how do I politely interrupt someone in a meeting? And this is always difficult without sounding rude, especially when English is not your first language, and maybe it's not the first language of the other speaker. So I think in general, you kind of want to be nice here, but start with, excuse me, or sorry to interrupt, and then don't say but. No, if you put a but in there, it's always defensive, but sorry to interrupt. I was just wondering about. So that's where you start. Start with that. Something polite, nice. Don't come fighting. Just excuse me or sorry to interrupt. And then acknowledge their idea. Give them some kind of compliment. I like what you just said earlier. And I want you to go into a little bit more detail about XYZ. Really works well when you acknowledge their idea and compliment them. And third, add your thoughts politely. And I talked about this at the beginning of this answer, but be polite. Nobody likes to be interrupted. Anybody that's speaking never wants to be interrupted. So just be polite about this. Excuse me, I think I have something that's really helpful here. Can I share my perspective? And when you do that, the person can take your information a little nicer because nobody wants to be interrupted. It's a tough situation. So be nice and be polite. These are, there's kind of three parts to being able to politely interrupt somebody. So first, you soften the moment with something like, excuse me, or sorry to interrupt. Then you show respect by acknowledging their point. Even a quick, I like what you said. That goes a long way. And finally, you add your idea with a polite phrase of, could I share my perspective? Let me go into a little bit of detail, a little bit more about each of these. So this idea of kind of politely saying, excuse me, or sorry to interrupt. Put yourself in the shoes of the speaker. And if you're speaking, you don't want to be interrupted. Nobody wants that. It doesn't feel good. So try to feel for that other person, and don't be, aggressive or anything else like that. But in some cases, maybe you might have to be aggressive where the person has gone off on some crazy direction and you have to interrupt. But maybe you're running out of time or whatever it might be. But a simple sorry to interrupt or excuse me, and then adding something helpful. That really, really helps. Because again, think about you speaking. You don't want to be interrupted, so be nice about it. Second point that I made was acknowledge their idea. Something like, I really like what you said earlier. Now they're willing to be interrupted. You just complimented them. So you're not there fighting them. You're not there arguing with them. You've said something nice. They're gonna, the door is open for them to listen to you. If you come out and say, wow, I really hated what you said earlier, and now I'd like to share my point, that's not going to work very well for you. So find something where you have common ground and say that, acknowledge it, and say, boy, I really enjoyed what you said about this topic here, and I'd like to go wherever, something related, and whatever your interruption was, you had a point and a purpose to your interruption. But when you compliment them, they're going to listen. And last, of course, be polite. Nobody wants that person. Don't be that person in the audience. It's, oh, what about, it's like, put yourself in the shoes of the speaker. You wouldn't want to be interrupted. You don't want somebody aggressive in your audience. So be nice about it and be polite about it. And you'll get a lot better reaction to it. And sometimes that's difficult in English, to be polite, because you're not comfortable in whatever you have to say. You're interrupting for a reason, but try to take a pause, take a breath, and be polite. It really, really works well. And then the speaker will give you the respect and to be able to make that work. All right? So if that's a problem area for you, give that a try. That's a really good question. And so I hope my answer can help some of you. Now, this is a question that I get all the time, and I've got it from all my CEOs when they have some big meeting they've got coming up and they're nervous or worried about it. And the question is, what can I do if people talk too fast in English? And you know this feeling. And you're not confident in your English, and you're meeting with a native speaker or native speakers, and they just naturally speak faster than what you are comfortable with. Or you meet with somebody that just speaks English fast as a second or third language. Happens all the time. Well, the first answer here is one I give to all of my CEO clients, and I've done it for years. And they're a little embarrassed to say this, but it works beautifully. And I tell them, start the meeting right away by saying, I'm sorry, my English isn't great. I hope you understand. And right away, that will make everybody understand and back off a little bit, and they'll go slower naturally. Say that. It works. Don't be embarrassed. Say it. Just come right out and say it. It's your best tool. Second, if you really need it, just ask them politely. Could you repeat that more slowly, please? And when you have already told them that your English isn't good, then it's no problem saying this. It works great. And finally, confirm what you heard. So you mean that the project is going to last another 2 weeks? Is that right? And when you do that, then you'll be able to make sure you're on the same page. Works out great. Let me go into each of these a little bit more detail. Okay, so these three steps, they really help you handle fast speakers without feeling lost or embarrassed. And first, by being open about your English at the start, you really set the tone, and people naturally adjust. They'll slow down. You don't have to tell them to slow down. They just will when you tell them that, I'm not so good at this. Second, if someone slips back into talking fast, just a simple, polite reminder to repeat words. It works really well. And last, repeating back what you think they said not only checks the meaning, but also shows you're engaged, you're confident. So let me go into a little bit of detail of each of these. To me, the biggest one here is the first one. Always, if you're going into a big meeting or a presentation is a little bit different, but if you're going to a big meeting, especially with native speakers, and maybe you've never met with native speakers, and so you're nervous. It's really natural. It happens all the time. Every CEO I've worked with has had the same situation. Just don't try to be like, I know everything. Go in with, ah, I'm sorry. My English isn't great. Smile, be nice. They can relate. I hope you understand. That right there will make them understand. Because if you go into a meeting and you go into New York and you fly in and you have this meeting and you don't say that, right away they're going to be speaking like this and go, okay, let's get into our agenda and here we go. Let's see what we're going to do here and how we're going to work on this and how are we going to leverage these ideas to be able to have more profitable situation. And you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And it's really hard to say that later. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you that my English is terrible. So if you just start the meeting in a really kind and funny way, it'll put everybody at ease. I'm sorry. My English isn't great. I hope you understand, and I hope that's okay. They will slow down, and they will really slow down. It's a really smart, strategic way to do this. It works. I've done this with so many different CEOs that are pitching, trying to get $100 million from some investors or have some big meeting about their company. It works. Do it. It works for them. It's going to work for you. So do it. Just don't try to be so, tough and strong. Just, hey, look, I'm sorry. My English isn't so good. People will laugh, especially if you're happy and smiling about it, and they will slow down. It works great. And then again, just sometimes people need to be reminded. There's lots of people that speak fast. Maybe you speak fast in your native language. And so when you can't understand them, you have to ask. Because if you can't understand what's going on in that meeting, you're going to lose. You're going to lose all day. So just politely remind them and say, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, just a little slower? Because again, my English, it's not really great. And I'm sorry about that. When you do that, they will slow down. But you have to remind them sometimes. It's natural. It's normal. They speak too fast. And that's the way it goes. And last, just confirming what you heard. Just summarizing what they said and repeat it back in your words really, really helps. So that maybe you missed something in what they said. And this gives an opportunity to make sure that you're back there on that same page again. You're aligned. You're talking about the right things together. Okay? Try those 3 things. They really work. And this is a great question because it happens all the time. And I have used these all the time, especially that first one. Give it a try. Keep asking your questions. I'll make another video one day, but I'm really enjoying this. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, share your comments, and I also invite you to learn your Business English Confidence Score. You'll find the link in the description below this video.